We're going to practice 4 fraction questions that most students should know by the end of grade 6. I understand that math can be challenging to tackle alone. This channel is here to support and assist you or your child in learning math. What you'll need: a pencil, download our video worksheet, link in the comments, or use your own piece of paper, and time to use your brain, so no calculators are allowed. Here's a look at 4 fraction questions that we're going to solve. Feel free to pause and solve the question on your own first, or watch Ms. John guide you through the solutions. Feel free to use the timestamp below to go directly to the answer key. Question number 1, 22 over 39 minus 15 over 39. Steps to subtract like fraction. Step 1, determine which number represents the numerator and the denominator. Step 2, rewrite the bottom number in the fraction to the answer section. Step number 3, subtract the top numbers and solve for the answer. Step number 1, determine which numbers represent the numerator and the denominator. The top number represents the numerator, in this case 22 and 15. The bottom number represents the denominator, and in this case it is 39. So again, top number equals numerator and the bottom number equals the denominator. Step number 2, rewrite the bottom number in the fraction to the answer section. So we're just going to move that to the fraction in the answer section. Now we're going to complete step number 3. Subtract the numbers and solve for the answer. So let's draw a rough box, and in that rough box we're going to write 22 minus 15. 22 minus 15 equals 7. Now we're going to write that answer to the top number of the answer section. So your answer is 7 over 39. Question number 2. Reduce these two fractions into lowest terms. Let's go through the steps. Step 1, you're going to find the GCF, and then step 2, you're going to use the GCF to reduce through division. So let's do A. We're going to reduce 3 over 18. So again, we're going to first find the GCF. And remember, GCF is greatest common factor. So the factors of 3 are 1 times 3. Therefore, the factors are 1 and 3. Now let's find the GCF of 18. So if we break down 18, we get 1 times 18 equals 18. Then we got to think about, okay, does 2 times something equal 18? Hopefully you got 2 times 9 equals 18. Then you also have to think about 3 times something equal 18, and then you do. So 3 times 6 equals 18. And then you could think about, does 4 times something equal 18? And the answer is no. So we could conclude that these are the factors of 18. So the factors are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. So now we're going to look at the GCFs of 3 and 18, the common factors for 3 and 18. And the common factors for 3 and 18 are 1 and 3. And now we got to find the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor is 3. So the highest number out of 1 and 3 is 3. Therefore, we're going to go to step number 2. So that's going to use the GCF through division. So again, the GCF of 3 and 18 is 3. Now we're going to divide the top number, also known as the numerator, by 3. And now we're also going to divide the denominator by 3. So remember, whatever you do to the top, you must do to the bottom. So 3 divided to 3 equals 1. 18 divided into 3 equals 6. So the answer is 1 over 6. Now let's do the other fraction, 2 over 5. So let's first find the GCF. So again, we're going to find what are the factors of 2. So what times what equals 2? 1 times 2 equals 2. And then we could think, does 2 times anything equal 2? The answer is no. So the factors of 2 is 1 and 2. Now we're going to find the GCF of 5. So what times what equals 5? 1 times 5 equals 5. Then you can think, does 2 times 5 equal 5? Not at all. So we can conclude that only 1 times 5 equals 5. So the factors of 5 is 1 and 5. So now we're going to look at what are the common factors. So for both 2 and 5, the common factor is 1. And then now we have to say what is the greatest common factor, and the highest common factor is still 1. So now we're going to do step number 2, which is use the GCF to reduce through division. The GCF for 2 and 5 is 1. So we're going to divide both the top and bottom by 1. So 2 divided by 1 equals, so the answer is the same. 2. 5 divided by 1 equals 5. So the answer is the same. Question number 3. We're going to solve 2 over 3 times 3 over 7. Steps to multiply unlike fractions. Step 1. Determine which number represents the numerator and the denominator. Step 2. Multiply the top numbers together. Step 3. Multiply the bottom numbers together. Let's begin. Step number 1, determine which numbers represent the numerator and the denominator. So the top numbers 2 and 3 represent the numerator, and the bottom numbers 3 and 7 represent the denominator. Again, top number equals the numerator, the bottom number equals the denominator. So let's first multiply the top numbers together. So we're going to write 2 times 3. You don't have to do this step, but I find that it helps a lot. And then now we're going to multiply the bottom numbers together. 3 times 7. So before we officially multiply, let's draw a rough box, and in that rough box we're going to write 2 times 3. 2 times 3 equals 6. So we're going to write that on the top number of the fraction in the answer section. Now we're going to multiply the bottom number. So we're going to draw a rough box, and in that rough box we're going to write 3 times 7. 3 times 7 equals 21. Now we're going to write that at the bottom number of the fraction in the answer section. So the answer so far is 6 over 21. But we're not done. There's actually a step number 4. And the step number 4 is simplify if necessary. And when it comes to 6 and 21, I think we can reduce this fraction. So let's just see and double check. In order to reduce any fraction into lowest terms, your best bet is to find the GCF of the numerator and the denominator. So in this case, 6 and 21. So let's find the GCF of 6. So again, we have to think about what numbers make up 6. Which two numbers that multiply each other make up the number 6? So we know 1 times 6 equals 6. And we also should know 2 times 3 equals 6. And now we have to think, does anything 4 times anything equal 6? No, it doesn't. So therefore, we can note that the factors are 1, 2, 3, and 6. Now let's find the GCF of 21. Now we have to think about which two numbers make up the number 21. Which two numbers, once multiplied, gives you the answer 21. So we know 1 times 21 equals 21. Does 2 times anything equal 21? It doesn't. It's an odd number, so that's a no. Now, does 3 times anything equal 21? Yes. So we know 3 times 7 equals 21. And now we have to think about, does 4 times anything equal 21? No. So we can conclude that the factors are 1, 3, 7, and 21. So when we're looking at it, what are the common factors that 6 and 21 have? So the common factors, as we can see, are 1 and 3. So now we got to look at, but what is the greatest common factor, the highest number that they have in common? And the answer is 3. So now that we know that the GCF is 3, we can simplify. So what we're going to do is divide both of these numbers by the GCF, which is 3. So we're going to do 6 divided by 3 and 21 divided by 3. So 6 divided by 3 equals 2, and 21 divided by 3 equals 7. So the answer is 2 over 7. Question number 4, 3 over 4 plus 2 over 8. Let's first determine what are the steps to add unlike fractions. Step number 1, find the LCM. Step number 2, use the LCM to make the denominators the same. Step number 3, write the bottom number in the converted fraction to the answer section. Step number 4, add the numbers together. And step number 5, if necessary, simplify. So let's first start with finding the LCM. So we got to find the LCM of 4 and 8. So we're going to determine the LCM of 4 and 8. So in order to look at the LCM of 4 and 8, unlike the greatest common factor where you find the factors of the number, we're actually going to determine what are the multiples, the common multiples of 4 and 8. So we got to make sure the answers are the same because we got to make sure the bottom numbers are the same. So we're going to first find the multiples of 4. So let's find the multiple of 4. So multiple of 4, you're just literally going through the 4 times table. So 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3, 4 times 4. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. A lot of people ask me, when do you stop? The more you do this, you'll realize that I didn't really need to do 4 times 8. I could have stopped at 4 times 2. But that's through time and practice. Now we're going to find the multiple of 8. So the multiples 8 are, and we're just going to go 8 times 1 equals 8. 8 times 2 equals 16. We're just going to stop there. So we're going to determine the lowest common multiple. So based on these answers, we know that it is 8. So they have the multiple of 8 in common. So the answer is 8. Now that we know that the LCM is 8, we're going to make sure that the bottom numbers in both fractions is equal to 8. So again, step number 2 is using the LCM to make the denominators the same. So we're going to do 4 times 2. And remember what we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So that means we're going to do 3 times 2, which equals 4 times 2 equals 8. We're going to move the 8 to the new fraction. And then 3 times 2 equals 6. We're going to move the 6 to the new fraction. Now we're going to times these two by 1. So remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. 8 times 1 equals 8. 2 times 1 equals 2. So now we have both of the denominators, which are the same. So now we're going to do step number 3, which is rewrite the bottom numbers in the converted to the fraction in the answer section. So the converted fraction is 6 over 8 plus 2 over 8. So now we're just going to simply move that 8 over to the fraction in the answer section. Now we're going to do step number 4, which is add the top numbers. So let's draw that rough box. And in that rough box, we're going to write 6 plus 2. 6 plus 2 equals 8. So now we're going to write the 8 on the top number of the answer section. And now what we're going to do is step number 5, which is, if necessary, simplify. So this one's actually super easy to do. And so what we're going to do is draw the rough box. And in that rough box, we're literally just going to divide 8 divided into 8. So 8 divided into 8 is equals 1. And now we're going to put that 1 in the final answer section. The answer is 1. When you're like, why did we not find the GCF? This is an example of, the more you practice these types of questions, the more you will just know that you do not need to find the GCF. You can literally divide the two fractions by itself. And a lot of you guys might recall already learning this and know that when you have two of the same numbers as the numerator and the denominator, they make a whole, which is a 1. So the final answer is 1. Here's the answer key. If you got an answer wrong, use a timestamp to go back and check your solution. Good job at taking ownership over your education. You did it! See you in the next video.